We are back at it again with another Fortnite Creepypastas list. This time, part 5. That's 50 of them we've done. Now if you're new here, creepypastas are online urban legends, all of which aim to be as spooky and scary and obviously creepy as possible. Over the past year, there's been an explosion of Fortnite-themed creepypastas on the web, and this is our series where we highlight and count down some of our favorites. We also suggest that after our list, you go and check out the full stories themselves. They're really worth giving a listen to. And many of these creators have other great creepypastas that you'll love on their channels too. So with that in mind, let's jump in. Number 10, The Hacker. Let's start off our list with a creepypasta from the king of Fortnite creepypastas himself, Flipless Script. This is the story of a 25-year-old who begins his narration by discussing how his generation gets a bad rap. He reveals that he's a hacker who typically does low-end schemes, taking small amounts off of debit or credit cards. But one day he decided he wanted more of a challenge and decided to set his sights on Fortnite. Now it wasn't about the money, it was more so about the notoriety. After hours of prep work, he managed to gain access into Fortnite, with the game mistaking him as an admin, which allowed him to ban whomever he wanted and to give whomever he wanted V-Bucks. So a thought comes across his mind. What if he created an account, added a crap ton of V-Bucks to it, and then sold it online? He could make a solid chunk of change. With this plan in mind, he decided to call it a night when something caught his eye in the system. A list of people's names who had been banned by Epic Games themselves. Curious, he took a peek. It was organized into categories. He clicked on the miscellaneous category and clicked on one player's name, Honshu, to see the details of their ban. It read that Honshu was permanently banned for slaying 5 players in real life. Honshu is a modern-day Bloody Mary and has not been arrested or caught yet and was suspected to be a hacker. Accidentally, the hacker had said Honshu's name 3 times in a row, having read the description out loud. That's when he heard someone whispering behind him. Our narrator turns around to see his door slowly opening, silhouette of a man standing there in his hallway. He had a knife. His mask had pixels on it. He walks over to the narrator, puts the knife on his throat and says, "Make that the slangs of 6 people." In at number 9, We Eliminated You. This creepypasta is a take on another classic Fortnite creepypasta. So the narrator comes home from school one day and decides to hop on Fortnite. As he's playing a match, he keeps seeing other players who have the name We Eliminated You as their username. They were all wearing the same Cuddle Team Leader skin. Now staying out of the way, he watched as all of these Cuddle Team leaders fought their way through one another. Despite trying to stay out of the fray though and wait for the opportune time to jump into the action, he was eliminated, seemingly out of nowhere, taken out by one of the users named We Eliminated You. Pissed off, he was about to start up a new match when he received a strange text message from an unknown number that read, "Get ready for your final elimination." That's when he received another text. It was a picture of his house. He called the cops. When he looked outside the window, that's when he saw him, a man across the street looking directly at him wearing the Cuddle Bear Leader mask. The narrator went to hide when he realized that his back door was unlocked. Taking a chance, he tried to sneak downstairs only to come face to face with the Cuddle Team Leader. That's when the police arrived, tackling the intruder to the ground. And at number 8, The Sphere. This one is about the Sphere, the giant floating ice sphere that exploded over the island and left it covered in snow and zombies. Now the narrator of this story tells about a unique and creepy experience that he had when the Sphere first appeared in the game. He says that the first time he logged into the game when the event started, he was surprised to find himself watching a terrifying cutscene of Polar Peak. The Sphere started to move around to all of the places that the cube had previously corrupted. Now when it returned to Polar Peak, he saw a frozen cube emerge from the castle there, looking utterly destroyed. That's when the most terrifying thing happened. The cube fused with the Sphere, with the Sphere rising up, exploding, destroying Polar Peak entirely. The castle was in pieces and blood was everywhere, with corpses of players lying around. What was this? Surely this wasn't intentional and put in the game. From there, the game loaded up and everything seemed off. The season read that it was season 999. The map the player was on only showed Polar Peak, marked up in red. Everywhere else was covered in lava. Having no choice but to land at Polar Peak, he made his way there. When he landed, he saw that the dragon eggs there were cracked. With the baby dragons dead, their corpses visible. He took a closer look, and that's when one of the dragons woke up. The player jolted backwards. The dragon tore off his character's head, killing him, and everything went black. And at number 7, The Back Bling. This one starts off with our narrator telling us that he was randomly gifted new back bling, an item called Voodoo Doll. It looked like his player character, but in doll form. Curious, he equips it and goes into a solo match. Now when he gets into conflict, his back bling gets hit, and the player, in real life, feels a sharp, unusual pain in his own back. This continues to happen. Shogun. Everything that happens in the game has a physical effect on him. Assuming that it's nothing but a weird coincidence that his mind is playing tricks on him, he just continues to play anyway. That's when he noticed that the voodoo doll on his character had blood dripping down its side. In real life, he lifts up his shirt to see a wound of his own, bleeding. He gets out of the game as soon as he can, and never looked back. And at number 6, Face to Face. Face to Face is another one from Flipless Script. It follows the story of a player who was really excited about the Shogun being released. He had bought the same exact Shogun mask at his local game shop, putting the mask next to his nightstand thinking it was like the coolest thing ever. Now, after playing hours and hours of Fortnite that night, he decided to call it a day, only to realize that the mask he had bought was no longer on his nightstand. Instead, it had moved over to the chair next to him as if it wanted to be closer to him. Thinking he was just tired and imagining things, he put it back on the nightstand and went to bed. In the middle of the night, he awoke with the mask on top of him. Thinking that was strange, he just went back to sleep. The next day after work, he jumped into Fortnite, cleaning up in his first solo match. Feeling on top of the world, he headed back to the lobby, only to notice something peculiar. The mask on his Shogun skin appeared to be a deeper, darker red color, as if it was kill activated. Blood started to drip from the mask, a noise that comes through his speakers, the drip drip drip. He decides to go into another match. The dripping noise grows louder. Strange. That's when he notices in real life that his mask is on the floor. Picking up, he's startled. There's blood all over his hands after he touches it. It too was dripping. Freaking out, he washes his hands, wraps a towel over the mask, and hides it in the attic, deciding that he'll deal with it later. He kept playing Fortnite, and as the hours went by, he begins to smell something, a coppery scent. That's when he hears the dripping noise again. He looks up. His ceiling is dripping blood. The narrator goes up to the attic, retrieves the mask, and takes it outside to the fire pit in his backyard and sets it on fire. When he returns to his game, he sees that his Shogun skin no longer has a mask on, as if the two were linked. That night, when he drifts off to sleep, he dreams of the mask, learning it was built from the bones of victims in the samurai era, painted with the blood of those victims. He wakes up and can't see. He touches his face. The mask was on him. He tried to take it off, but it was stuck, and then he hears a voice say, "Thank you for your body. It will serve me well. I'm glad we can meet face to face." And at number 5, The Laughing Man. The Laughing Man, despite having some major sound issues, is a pretty decent creepypasta from YouTuber Funtime Flash. The story starts off with the player describing how he and his friends encountered a terrifying player added to their squad who had a sinister laugh, one that was quite unsettling. They eventually finished that match and hopped on another squad one, thinking that there was no way they'd ever see this guy again. 4 games later, he appeared in their lobby, and the laughing would not stop. They tried to leave the match, but couldn't. The narrator even tried to unplug his Xbox. That's when the Laughing Man started screaming, and the player got a text message from an unknown number. It was a photo of him playing Fortnite. His Xbox then just shut off on its own. Slowly, the player went over to his window, and that's when he saw him. A man whose face was covered in horrific stitches. He stood there laughing. The player called the police, locking all of the doors and windows in his house. The man started banging on his window, and his Xbox just turned back on. The laughing was even louder than ever. Finally, the police had come. He looked outside to see the terrifying man was being put into handcuffs and towed away into the back of a cop car. He later found out that this man had been stalking kids on Fortnite. Up next, number 4, Wrath of the Ice King. This creepypasta comes from Mr. Gruesome on YouTube. The Ice King ruled over his land as a dictator. He was hated, and if anyone did anything against his authority, they would receive some sort of severe punishment. Now it was decided amongst the Ice King's closest advisors and subjects that the only way people of Fortnite could ever live in peace was if the Ice King was assassinated. They decided to target him when he was his most vulnerable, when he was sitting on his throne on top of Polar Peak. His subjects quietly killed all of his guards one by one, and with his defenses low, entered the throne room confronting him. The Ice King laughed at his subjects, declaring that there was no feasible way to kill him. His subjects all attacked him. One by one, he laughed at them, snapping their necks, slicing them in half, and sending his ice hounds after them, who tore at their flesh. The very last subject who remained standing of the 6 tried to run for his life. The Ice King caught him, and then beat him to a pulp. The next day, he addressed the people of his kingdom, threatening death to anyone who committed treason, and that their families would be brutally sentenced to death as well, facing the wrath of the Ice King. And at number 3, Trog Terror. Another one from Flipless Script at this number. The narrator tells the story about the real danger that comes from spotting the Yeti in Fortnite. Now, he was at level 71 of that season's battle pass, and he had managed to unlock Trog, the awesome Yeti skin in the game. Excited, he eagerly equipped him, only to swear that he heard Trog speak, saying something the likes of "Trog go home," over and over, as if it were a taunt. The issue was, though, our humble narrator soon discovered that he was the only one who could hear what Trog was saying. Now, a few days went by with the player unlocking more levels in the battle pass. Nothing out of the ordinary. But one morning, he woke up early and decided to play Fortnite before work. He noticed that Trog was talking again, now saying something different. Trog must go home. Now, after googling it, he discovered that there was a hidden Yeti cave in the game, and perhaps he'd stumbled on the beginnings of an Easter egg. He was wrong. Not really in the mood to complete a challenge, he decided to just equip equip his Raven skin instead, but when he got to the lobby he was wearing the Trog skin. Weird. It kept saying, "Trog must go home." Eventually, growing tired of this, he sought out the cave. When he arrived, he was shocked to see Trog take over his character. Trog entered and went up to a part of the cave and started shoveling snow, revealing a cold body, another Yeti. Trog then split from the character, turning the character into a default skin. And Trog, well, he didn't look like he normally did. Instead, he looked like a demonic, bloody Yeti, covered in red stains. He turns to the character and says, "You're Trog's dinner." The body of the other Yeti comes to life and the two of them begin to feast on the character's body. The story ends with the narrator warning others to not go into the cave with Trog equipped. Otherwise, you'll die. And at number 2, didn't stick the landing. This creepypasta tells the tale of a gamer named Jared, a talented player who had gotten his fair share of wins and kills. But he was only human. He got eliminated a lot too. Anywho, Jared is playing Fortnite when he gets a message from his friend who asked him if he'd seen the news about the mass suicides. Jared's like, "What?" And his friend sends him a screenshot of the news channel that he's watching. People are committing mass suicide without any explanation, jumping from high heights in particular. It's like Bird Box, but not. So Jared, just a little freaked out, just decides to take his mind off it by playing another match in Fortnite. That's when he gets a strange compulsion. As he's jumping out of the battle bus, he decides to land on the highest point on the map that he can. Once he glides down to a high peak, the compulsion gets worse. Build. So he starts to build, up and up, as if he's building a stairway up to the heavens. And when he's exhausted of all of his resources, he looks around the map, players and firefights, all the locations he had previously traversed with joy, and he jumps. He doesn't know why, he just does. And out of nowhere, as soon as his character hits the ground, he falls off his chair in real life. An intense pain rifles through his body. He's on the floor and he can't move. He just lies there, knowing that death is impending. Now, side note, this creepypasta is by Chris Hum, and worth giving a watch. Rather than just using gameplay, it's told from a POV angle and it's actually kinda neat to see play out. And finally, in at number 1, Zozo the Demon. Zozo the Demon, our final one from Flipless Script, is one of the longest creepypastas on our list today, and it's damn good. So it starts off with the narrator telling us that he bought the Ark, but felt duped. Now for starters, the skin, which is supposed to be female, was male. He also looked rough, having burnt armor and black frayed wings instead of, the gold armor and the regular wings. Now, backtracking a bit, the narrator tells us that a few days ago he stumbled upon a Ouija board. Having nothing to do, he decided to give it a go even though he was alone. After asking it a series of questions, nothing happens, exactly what he expected. He's about to put it away when it starts to move, spelling out the word Zozo. From there, Zozo continues to communicate with him. Being a cynic, narrator starts asking it questions that it couldn't possibly know the answers to. He asks it about his cousin who had died recently, to which it responds by spelling out the words drunk driver, which is how he died, in a car accident because of a drunk driver. Naturally, our narrator freaks out and puts the board away, tucking it into the attic. Trying to feel better, he googles Zozo, and turns out that Zozo is actually a real thing that other people had encountered. As he continues to read things about Zozo online, he comes across an article that makes him terrified. He never said goodbye to the spirit, he just put the board away, meaning he never severed the connection to him and Zozo. Now that night, he has a dream about Fortnite. He's wearing a new skin, a demon with charcoal feathers, who looks like he came right out of hell. The next day was when he saw Ark in the shop and bought her. After Ark appeared otherwise, he tried other skins instead, but the game would not let him equip anything else. It would always revert to this strange, evil-looking skin. Now the first match he was in, he died early on, but instead of being transported out of the game like usual by that robotic machine that collects you, his character, who he begins to call Zozo, turns around, facing him. Zozo jumps at him, filling up his monitor. Petrified, the player gets up and runs out of his room, only to trip on something in the hallway. Looking down, he realizes that the object that tripped him is none other than the Ouija board. It starts to spell something out on its own. You will die. Afraid that he needs to do something quick to stop his impending doom, he goes back onto Fortnite to discover that the skin no longer exists. Instead of Ark, the name that appears is Zozo, and the skin isn't even there, as if it had left the game. That's when he felt something cold on his shoulder. He looked up. It was Zozo in the flesh. Despite his presence, our narrator runs into the hallway, going straight to the Ouija board. He spells out goodbye. Zozo screams, trying to claw at our narrator, but he was starting to fade. Our narrator grabs the Ouija board, grabs some matches, and lights it on fire out in his backyard. Zozo, running after him, stops midair and basically explodes. The narrator goes back to Fortnite to discover that Ark has returned to what she should normally look like. That night, he dreams of Zozo in Fortnite. The demon tries to tell him that he can haunt him in his dreams, and that they're still connected. That's when our narrator remembers something. He didn't burn the planchette, just the board. And that's when he hears Zozo's horrific voice in his ear, "You will still die." Alright, there we have it, friends. Which of these creepypastas was your favorite? And have you seen the first 4 parts of our list? Give us a shout in those comments below and let us know. If you dug this video, spread the love, hit that like button, and be sure to subscribe to Top 10 Gaming for more game-themed creepypastas. We also have a nifty little playlist currently flashing on your screen that you might dig, so give it a click. In the meantime though, thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you all in the next video.